Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Special Crusty Canuck for you here today on the 6th of October, 2020. Now, it's just brought to my attention via CTV News and other members of the Canadian public that the Liberals' NDP vote to shut down Conservatives' renewed push to examine the Wee affair. How convenient. According to Sarah Turnbull, who published said article, in Ottawa, the Liberal NDP members of the House of Commons Committee voted on Tuesday to sunset, whatever the fuck that means, another Conservative attempt to examine the Wee charity scandal and invite the Prime Minister and key members of his cabinet to testify. Let's sunset this and deal with it later, shall we? Carrying on, the Liberal chair of the procedure of House of Commons Committee, the PROC, Ruby Sahota, outlined her reasoning for shutting down further study of the issue, arguing that Conservative House Leader Karen Vecchio's motion to review the reasons for prorogation and to call for the advanced disclosure of the Wee charity-related documents presupposes the reasoning for dissolving Parliament. So what other issues did Justin prorogue Parliament? Well, having a bad day. His beard was itchy. His wife doesn't love him anymore. I don't know. The Wee charity? Really? That was exposed before, I think, by Pierre Poilievre and the rest of the Conservative clan. Right? Well, under changes made by the Liberals in response to what they viewed as a misuse of prorogation by past Conservative governments, Trudeau has a table report in the House 20 sitting days into the new session detailing the reasons for discontinuing the session of Parliament. So based on that, okay, well, Harper did it, so I guess it's okay. We did it. Harper didn't drive us to the bank. Now, as much as I disagree with Stephen Harper's politics, he had a better understanding of the economy than Justin Trudeau and two-thirds of the Liberal cabinet. Regardless of how you feel about Conservative politics or Liberal politics or whatever the NDP is doing and whatever the Greens are doing and Rhinoceros and what have you, but as far as I knew, he had a better understanding of how the dollar worked in this country. And people were working under Stephen Harper. So put that in your pipe and smoke it there, PROC. Anyhow, carrying on, let's see. That report will be represented to PROC to consider. And the Conservatives' position is that in order they prepare. They like to receive in advance emails, documents, notes, and other records from the Prime Minister's office and the Privy Council dating back to the day that the Wee charity was named to run the grant program concerning options, plans, and preparations for the prorogation of Parliament. Well, didn't the NDP, or correction, not the NDP, sorry, the Conservatives expose that? Didn't Pierre Poilievre on national television hold up a piece of paper and do all this stuff saying, hey, this is a shit show with black lines everywhere? Did he not? And yet these guys are acting like, oh, what you're doing isn't fair? Have you stopped to look at how you're treating natural resources in Western Canada? From our lumber to our fuel to clean water and the so-called new green tech that you're proposing. Do you think that's fair? Something to think about, isn't it? Right, so undertaking a pre-study at this time would be seen as premature. It's premature to investigate someone taking money and giving it away. It's premature to do your job. It's premature to investigate why the federal government, the elected federal government, was willing to give away $900 million. That's premature, and yet have no proof or paper trail to back it up. Right? And then when you watch the Wee brothers carry on like, oh my God, we don't know what to do, we're devastated. They have $50 million in assets in real estate that they have to sell because they got caught with their fucking pants down, with their hands out. Right? What's that tell you? Okay, Crusty Canuckers like and viewers alike, we know what the give is here. We know what the gist is. It's a joke. It's a shit show. It's a side thing. It's breads and circuses. It has nothing to do with Canada. It has more to do with a handful of politicians holding on to their jobs for dear life. Now, I said in the last episode that These parties don't have a pot to piss in, especially the NDP when it comes to a federal election. So my speculation is this, okay? Bear with me here. Jagmeet's holding on for dear life for his fucking job. So therefore, he would rather sacrifice the sanctity and the economy of Canada to hold on to his bloody job and his followers too. Oh yes, he's a great leader. Oh, he's such a great guy. You know, on paper he may seem nice with his qualifications and his leadership training. Great. But his actions speak otherwise. And the actions of the PROC speak louder. The actions of these so-called Privy Council aficionados speak for themselves. Prime Minister speaks for itself. Catherine McKenna speaks for herself. Chrystia Freeland speaks for herself. Yeah. And every other crony that follows this dogma they call the Liberal Party. Wow. I'm not even going to read the rest of this. I'll leave the link in the video for you, my fans, to decide. Okay? This is just crap. What gets me is that democracy is not perfect. We are never going to find a perfect democracy. But it sure beats totalitarianism, it beats communism, and everything else that comes to terms. Okay? Now, when I look at this government, I don't see responsible government. I don't see ethics. I don't see respect for Canada. I see politicians carrying favor to some people in the riding, or some interest here, or some interest there, but I really don't see any downright unification going on here. Okay? In yesterday's episode, I made a stink about the Green Party leader, you know, saying all these wonderful things about divide and race and all that stuff. Our biggest problem here is our economy. We don't have systematic racism in this country that's holding people back. We have government policies that are holding people back. Okay? Politicians that obviously want to hold on to their jobs to make that great little paycheck to the tune of $182,000 or more, or just a bit less. So, I've suggested this before. How about some of these MPs take a pay cut? In fact, how about all these MPs take a pay cut? Okay? And the money that is cut from your pay, you can use some of that for your campaign. Rather than expecting people in your riding to give you honorable donations or suggestible donations for the sake of your brand, because your brand is failing. Okay? See, the way I look at the Liberal Party and the NDP, it's kind of like the new Coke they tried in the 80s, you know? Let's fix something that ain't broken. And then bitch complain when people aren't buying it. And then blame somebody else for our mistakes. That's the way I look at it. So, you new Coke aficionados, okay? You're not going to replace the classic. You're not going to replace the working class person. You're not going to replace the taxpayer. And you're not going to fucking deface the spirit of the Canadian people. So, that being said, I hope to God you realize the errors of your ways. Because there's people like me and other Canadians out there, they're going to ride your coattails till you do. That's simple. Okay? This is not the Canada I fought for. This is not the Canada that my grandparents fought for. Okay? Yes, you're going to find a dishonorable politician one way or the other. That's like finding a hooker that says she's a virgin. We all know that joke. But the past year and a half, especially the past year and a half, has been nothing but a shit show of he said, she said, oh, it's this guy's fault, it's that guy's fault. Yet nobody in the governing body, nobody who's actually in charge, is taking responsibility for the crap. And that story I just displayed for you all there proves it. How else do I prove it? Here's my suggestion. Stop paying our taxes. The next time we get a bill that says we owe so much for carbon or owe so much for that, then you'll give them a little sum of what you owe the company, but don't pay the tax. There's an idea. Or don't file. Take your money out of your institution, put it in a different institution. Okay? That's a start. That's my suggestion. Now, I'm not saying to go out and break the law and smash things and destroy people's property. No. Okay? But they forget who they work for. Still. And even Jagmeet Singh's little tweet there, I stood up for Canada. Did you really? And I countered his tweet too. I retweeted it with my little statement. So if you want to check out my tweets there on Twitter, by all means. But holy shit. What do we do, folks? Mainstream media is so worried about what's going on down south and so worried about what Donald Trump's doing, and yet they're not paying attention to the politicians in this country that are robbing us blind. That's simple. Because they're getting paid. You know, mainstream media got $600 billion, or correction, billion, $600 million from the Canadian taxpayer, thanks to JT and his sock wisdom. Okay? So, my advice is this, ladies and gentlemen. We have to watch more Parliament, watch the gestures and the actions, and quote these individuals. And start holding them accountable. Because the next step that I can only foresee in the future, and I hate to say it, is violence. And I don't want to see that. And I'm sure you don't want to see that. I want to see Canada get back to work. I want to see people flourish and thrive as they should in any fucking democracy, regardless. Canada, United States, Britain, Germany, you name it. It doesn't fucking matter. It's that simple. Anyhow, that's my spiel on that little story. Weak politicians, weak decisions, covering their asses while you and I get it up the chuff. Isn't that great? Not entirely. Anyhow, pay attention to my community page there, ladies and gentlemen. I put updates on everything on there, and I also post my updates on Facebook too as they come. So pay attention to my Facebook channel and my community channel here on the YouTube. And I try to get an episode up every week with the podcast, and I try to do a live stream every 2 weeks. So a week this Thursday, I'll put up another live stream, and we'll go from there. And to those really concerned, I'm still working on the jersey and the swimsuit issue for the ladies out there. So stay posted to my community page for updates on that as well. Anyway, I have been Crusty Canuck on this beautiful 6th of October, 2020. I try to be a little more humorous, but that news story just fucking burned me, folks. And it should burn you too. Right? But like I always say, look after your friends and your loved ones. Do what you can to help each other out. And remember, humanity and merit wins the day. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.